Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today I'm joined by Ruben Spruijt, our field CTO. We're going to do this session a little bit differently from what we normally do. So mostly demos and being delivered by Ruben this time. Ruben has a great environment which he'll show to you using his lab. And we're going to cover the, use your own hardware to build a very fast and efficient software-defined storage platform. But we'll focus primarily with the demos using the monitoring, alerting, API, and threshold capabilities with USX and USX Manager. So with that, let's kick off the session with talking about some of the historical challenges of VDI. So mainly around, how we solve complexity. So basically, not only due to the amount of IT infrastructure and components involved in order to deliver a optimal solution, the complexities are about the amount of expertise involved in delivering and maintaining the solution long term. So for example, look at networking, server, and storage teams. They have competing agendas and opinions, causing many projects to eventually be abandoned. Secondly, there's also cost of VDI challenges. The cost to acquire equipment, new equipment, for example, which is powerful enough or adequate enough to deliver great user experience, requires a huge amount of upfront capital expense, with the primary cost being storage. In many cases, additional costs included also, range from consulting costs, hiring additional expertise to properly deliver this infrastructure. And as an additional OPEX cost to this, you also need the relevant, skilled people in order to continue to operate and maintain the environment as well. So whatever you can do, the upfront CapEx cost with hardware you already own. So one of the things we're going to cover is that in this session. Next is, how do you solve performance? Performance for VDI deployments, one of the key significant items there is, of course, budget for adequate hardware, as we covered earlier. Improper sizing and architecture due to lack of expertise. These things ultimately lead to poor user experiences like long boot times, slow logins, and slow performing applications, which has a huge detrimental effect on your user base. So your users could even reject the solution or do things to get around using your VDI platform and applications, right? So,
can I add something on this slide? Can you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Move one slide back. Yeah.
Yep.
So these three main themes is what I see in the field when I talk to customers or peers or even competitors. This is what I see in the field: complex, cost, and performance. And when I demo the monitoring and alerting as an example, you will see that it's a very open platform, and open platform is important in medium and large environments. And therefore the programmable infrastructure, solving cost, programmable infrastructure is a key asset in our solution set. Using PowerShell, REST API, the UI is based on REST API, and it's especially in the build your own hyperconverged infrastructure solution, it is software-defined storage. So you can deploy all kinds of interesting scenarios with our powerful software and create like a programmable infrastructure. And the largest deployments I've seen in the world, like 40,000, 30,000, even 120,000 concurrent users on virtual workspace, they heavily rely on programmable infrastructure. That's not the only asset. All the other things mentioned here are also part of that conversation. But programmable infrastructure, REST API is a key asset in what we deliver. And hopefully you see the benefit of that when I demo a couple of things as well.
Great. Yep. Thanks, Ruben. So with the virtual workspace solutions from Atlantis, we remove the need for shared storage as a key component. We have technologies where we run in-memory volumes. So we use x86 compute from your standard servers that you have in the data center. We carve up some of that memory for example, and create very, very fast storage for stateless VDI applications such as XenApp or stateless desktops. We enable performance better than an all-flash array by combining multiple flash devices from a number of servers and creating shared storage from that. And that's the hyper-converged kind of architecture that we create, which allows you, to transition to lower-cost direct attached storage today and then transition into the cloud storage in the future. So we're working on, also accelerating storage in the cloud as well. So you can basically run everything on-premises in RAM, server RAM, or SSDs, but then also migrate to the cloud with our teleport and data reduction aware technologies to move data between different data centers over long distances at high performance. So that enables you to boost user performance and of course productivity, right? So you can boot VDI machines in a couple of seconds. It doesn't take long to boot a VM running in RAM. And if you want to experience this, then go ahead and download the USX CE edition that we have today. It's there's a link at the end where we show you how to get that and see for yourself. Right, very, very fast boot times, extremely high IOPS, better user experience than a MacBook Air, right, with flash drives. So give that a go. So to the two products that we have today are, of course, Atlantis USX. It's software-defined storage, different licensing models based on per VM, concurrent VM, or even capacity-based. Of course, it's software only, so buy it, download it. Even using USX CE is a fully fledged Atlantis USX product, and basically allows you to create flexible, optimized storage using hardware you have already in your data center. We support VMware and Xen server hypervisors, and it's pretty much a very, very simple three-step process. So deploy the OVF image, which is USX Manager, discover the infrastructure that you have to create your software-defined storage on, right, which is vCenter servers or Xen Center, also the hypervisors, create some networking, and then create some volumes. And that's pretty much it. Then you mount those volumes to your applications, and then go ahead and enjoy the benefits of very, very fast storage that you've just created from some infrastructure that you have. So you can create different workload specific volumes. As I mentioned, in memory, we also have all flash. We also have hybrid volumes that support both local hybrid, so you have SSD and then the local SAS or SATA drive. But the other use case is hybrid with a NAS array or a SAN that you already have in your data center. So you can use some compute from an x86 server to accelerate that SAN as well, so giving it more capacity, giving it more performance. You, of course, are able to right-size your performance and efficiency characteristics for your applications, of course. So you can create volumes which provide enough performance, IOPS, capacity, data services, and efficiency for those applications because USX provides you the benefit. Any hardware platform as well, Blades or Rack, of course. With Blades, of course, you have less slots for disks, but that really doesn't matter because combining a number of Blades together into a hyper-converged platform with minimal amount of SSDs and disks is provides you that capability because USX is quite flexible in the way that it requires underlying SSDs and spindles, for example. The alternative, of course, is Hyperscale, which is our fully integrated all-flash appliance. Comes in 3 models: CX4, CX12, CX24. The numbers are, of course, based on available capacity that these appliances give you. So this is a HCI appliance, hyper-converged infrastructure appliance, pre-built, of course, from the factory. So when you receive it, when you turn it on, what you have to do is enter a couple of setup values that the wizard asks for. Things like IP addresses, domain name, host names of the servers, and then deploys the all-flash software-defined storage, USX storage underneath. So the appliance runs Atlantis USX software in conjunction with all of the necessary management infrastructure. So if you have a vSphere-based appliance, then it's going to deploy vCenter. If you have a Zen server-based appliance, it's going to deploy Zen server and Zen Center and so on. So provides all flash performance, and key benefits, of course, is easy, right, fast and simple deployment. Although I can argue, because I'm a big fan of USX, USX also provides very, very simple and fast deployment as well. But the hyperscale, you don't have to find your own hardware because it's delivered with the hardware. We validated performance and availability with login VSI, for example. And the appliance provides a single point of contact for support. So support all the way from the USX components, the storage components, and also the hardware components are driven through Atlantis. So the software-defined storage from Atlantis USX, which is called software only, is great for retrofitting deployments. It's automated deployment. You have immediate performance improvements because of the software provides. You can reuse existing assets you have, so ideal for brownfield scenarios. It's also ideal for greenfield scenarios where you have, an architecture where you want to make the most of, for example, NVMe drives in new servers, for example, right? Or new Intel CPUs that provide higher compute, you can use with Atlantis USX to provide even better performance and capacity with NVMe drives. When you're building new, with USX it's quite flexible. You can do customer-specific deployments. We have a large banking customer who basically runs a huge stateless in-memory estate. Atlantis USX provides the in-memory storage for this customer, and they're able to pretty much automate and build the entire infrastructure using automation, and then users benefit from the extremely fast and efficient provisioning methods of Atlantis USX. So just covering a summary of USX, of course you can do any storage. We've talked about local drives, we've talked about memory, and we've also talked about leveraging SAN NAS arrays. We can also do all flash arrays as well. So when you combine all these different storage capabilities with USX, it provides the flexibility for you to use USX to deploy a provision storage with backing storage based on these three RAM, local drives, and SAN NAS to provide the same level of performance and also data efficiencies with our data services, such as data reduction, compression. We have cloning. We have VAI plugins with vSphere. We also have replication as well, backup and recovery with the data services. So you're providing these capabilities with USX on top of SAN NAS arrays or local drives which don't have these intelligence. So let's quickly cover the Atlantis technology platform. With the platform at the bottom, use any storage, SAN NAS, have converged, or even cloud. We have the the content-aware data services, which I mentioned. So we have in-memory dedupe, IO tiering, data management, cross-site data mobility, security, and pluggable storage. These content-aware data services are pretty intelligent, right? Because it's all around leveraging intelligence within the software to pretty much, use deduplication compression as a method for offloading IOPS, all right? And also with cross-site data mobility, using the same intelligence to be able to only copy blocks that we don't have at the destination to that destination. So we're going to pretty much build up blocks that you already know that you have at the destination, to send a copy of that VM over. It's a teleport technology. It's called just, We have a couple of slides and presentations and blogs on our website detailing how that works. So check that out. With the programmable infrastructure API that Ruben talked about, so at the top we have application-defined vVol integration via AI. We have Docker drivers. We have key values and HDFS. So of course we have the APIs as well. So from a programmable infrastructure API, you have many options for integrating in your USX into your environment. One of the key other aspects is, of course, the ability to monitor, alert, manage the environment using other tools. Okay, so we have some great inbuilt tools, which Ruben will cover, but we also have Citrix Director integration tools as well. So on top of that, you're able to, it's all good and great when your environment is working fine, but what happens when something goes wrong? So with USX, we provide the capability for you to integrate with third-party products such as Citrix Director, such as vCenter Operations Manager. So the APIs and the programmable infrastructure APIs enable you to do this. So with that, let's hand it over to Ruben to go through some of the demo items.
Yep, sure. Double check, Hugo. Do you see my screen? And which screen do you see?
Yes, I see the REP one.
Very good. That should be great. That should be fine. So what you see here is my R&D environment. I'm using Remote Desktop Manager as a tool to connect to all types of VMs. This is my management VM with all types of management consoles. Domain controller. Right now I've set up Citrix 7.13, a couple of login VSI and login PI environments, Citrix Synapse and desktop. Let me just open this one particular. You can see it is one of my I think 4 or 5 running vSphere hosts. In this host I deployed USX Manager, as Hugo explained, OVF import, USX Manager is deployed, and then I can set up different volumes and so on, a couple of XenApp hosts and a pool of I think 45 Windows 10s and desktops hosts as well running on this environment. I'm stress testing a little bit, so you'll see high CPU usage because I'm doing something else as well. Besides that, I'm also running a couple of Zen servers. 2 of them are running right now. I turn off 2 of them. They're quite noisy, and I don't want to make too much noise in this TechJam session. But this is what I have here. These are my domain type VMs, management machine, RD gateway, and so on. So machines I use for USXCE as well, as Hugo mentioned. So this is in summary my environment. I'm running out of, I have a class C network. I'm running out of IP addresses, and that's not a joke. That's something serious on my to-do list to migrate my IP addresses to a class B network. So that's a challenge. These are the challenges I have today, or in the next couple of weeks. So that's my environment. One of the machines is Atlantis USX, or Atlantis Management Console. If I log into that machine, admin is the username and password is power user. You'll see my environment. As you can see here, there are 3 volumes deployed. 2 of them are not online. They are running on other machines, and these machines are not up and running. But this volume, this is a 200 gig volume, is being used by 45 Windows 10 VMs and 4 XenApp hosts actively. That's being used right now with all kinds of apps like Office, Autodesk, Adobe, and so on. And I will use this environment to connect with Citrix Director. So if you go to atlantis.com/CE, so CE from Community Edition, there are also some quick start guides and some other videos which we recorded first or earlier to explain how you can set up Citrix Director integration. But that's already done, so I won't spend time how to set up Citrix Director integration, because that's a waste of time. I'd rather spend some time with some new things. But this is how it's being configured. So I'm using server 204, that is this machine, Citrix 7.13. And if I log into the Director website of the server, which is this screenshot, you can see right now that this environment is pretty, well, it's still a lab environment. So this is really high. Normally it's like 17 seconds, 30 seconds, depending on which kind of OS. Right now it's really hammering the platform, and that's fine for tests. You see here as well that the USX integration, the USX dashboard, and alerting is integrated in Citrix Director. That is handy because Citrix Director is normally being used by first line and second line support, who maybe don't have access or don't need access to, for instance, USX Manager, to other systems. So they have a dashboard where you can see, okay, there are 3 volumes, total capacity is 400 gig, total free capacity 227, and 47 VMs are registered in this environment. If I go to trends as an example, and go to USX storage, and select the pools I have, in this case Windows 10 desktop pool with this volume, I can see what the storage impact is and what the numbers are from an USX perspective. So that's handy to know. So that's the Director integration. This works fine with 7.13. I've also an environment with 7.12, 7.11, 7.8, 7.6 as well, and I didn't see any issues with these versions and Citrix Director integration. So easy, powerful, and if you want to know how to set it up with CE, as I mentioned earlier, take a look at the quick start guides and the videos we created earlier, or if you have any questions, reach out to me as well, Ruben, R-U-B-E-N, at atlantiscomputing.com. Let's do something else as well. So one of the new things in USX 3.5.2, so right now I'm using USX 3.5.2, so you can see here. One of the things is alerting and monitoring. So there are thresholds, SNMP and SMTP. I just want to briefly explain what you can do from the Atlantis Management Console, the AMC. If you go to thresholds, there are global thresholds. You can set thresholds on volumes. As one of my volumes is 010 at the end, this volume is being used right now. I can also set thresholds on service VMs, and especially when you create an hyper-converged infrastructure, you will have service VMs by design. That's how it works, and you can set thresholds as well. I think there are like 60 or so thresholds you can set. So many options here. This is out of the box what you can do, and of course you can, well, warning and error thresholds can be set here on global perspective and on a volume perspective. What else you can do when you set these thresholds? You can use SMTP. I configured SMTP with my personal Office 365 E3 account. So these are the settings I use, and these are the settings which works when you're using Office 365. I think many of you are using Office 365, so it's handy to well, make a screenshot or watch the recording later, so to make note how you can set it up specifically for Office 365. And SNMP is also revamped in 3.5.2. Under the covers, there's a lot of stuff under the covers in 3.5.2 and SNMP. But simply said, you enable it, you select the SMTP trap receiver. This is the tool I'm using right now. iReasoning MIP browser. This tool, you can, when you search for iReasoning MIP browser, it's a very simple tool, straightforward tool, free tool as well, and you can see if everything is working fine. So if I send a test connection here, there are two test connections here already because I have done it before. The test connection here, you will probably see 3 traps here. So the communication is doing well. Handy to know that by design this app needs to be added in the Windows firewall, otherwise it doesn't work. So the iReasoning MIP browser needs to be added to the firewall, otherwise it doesn't receive these traps. And you can add, if I load MIPs. So we provide a MIP. A MIP is a sort of like phone book where thresholds and numbers are connected, simply said. And that MIP is located in the USX Manager. So I already downloaded the MIP and imported it, and that means that you see all these kind of like USX thresholds here, as I mentioned earlier. So that's also a good tool to use to double check if SNP is working, if the USX Manager is sending SNP traps, and if the tool itself, and probably you're using SCOM or Nagios or something else, but the tool you're using, if it receives the trap from us, from USX. So out of the box, it's pretty straightforward to use these kind of things. You see these things, tasks and alerts. These are populated in Citrix Director, but there's much more as well to cover. If I go to the Documentation Center, which is a very powerful online tool, this is the URL for that. There's also an alert referencing guide, and all the alerts we have are here with description, what it can do, what the details are, what the user response is, and so on. So it's handy to take a look at that if you're deep into this, and well, it's good to know where you can find this. Let's spend some time with something else. So if I go to the AMC IP address, and in my case it's 1.130, and /console. Let me just do this. You need to log in with the credentials. No, not this one. This is what I had in mind. Exactly, this is what I had in mind. Same credentials as the AMC, so admin and power user, and you'll see 6 like Lego blocks here. This is the REST API browser. Handy to get access to the API browser if you want to create a programmable infrastructure, if you want to get access to like under the cover stuff. I'll use this one in a couple of minutes, and I'll use this one in a couple of minutes. So out of the box with the AMC, you'll get already great insights with threshold monitoring and alerting. But maybe you want to do something else, or maybe you want to do something more. What you can do, if I go to the real-time metrics, I will enable the real-time metrics on two VMs. One of the VMs is my AMC, this one, and I type in that's service net data. That's the service we add start. It's already started, so you get a message like it's already started, and that will enable net data on this VM. Same applies for the volume VM. So the volume VM is the VM which is being used by, in this case, Zen Desktop. My IP address is 140. Power user is the username, and power user is the password. And you can do like the same thing, service net start data. And it's already started, but it applies as well. And what you can do with that is, let's go to that particular one. You get all the netstat data of that, in this case, USX Manager. So 130 is my USX Manager. If I use this one, instead of 130, use 140, you get the netstat data of my USX volume. And of course, you can have multiple USX volumes with all the benefits of that, and you get all kinds of insights in that. It's like really comprehensive, all the details we provide via netstat data. So that's out of the box when you go to the console or the IP address directly. There's also this is already powerful. There's this is the website of iReasoning for the MIP browser. If you are interested in that. This is netstat data for my volume, and this is netstat data for my USX Manager. I'll close these ones. If I go to Grafana, Grafana is also an interesting platform. I'm not sure if people are aware of Grafana. Grafana is an open source general purpose dashboard and graph composer. That's a simple explanation of Grafana. So it's an open source platform, and we we provide access to Grafana by design. So if you're installing or upgrading to 3.5.2 of USX and the soon to released updated version of Hyperscale as well, you will get access to Grafana. By design, there's already an Atlantis USX data source added into Grafana, which is great. But there are no dashboards by design added. So if I go to dashboards and go to home, you will see only the you will see everything without the USX manager and my volume VM. So you need to create your own dashboard. That's the simple explanation. That's what I already did, and I spent, I don't know, 1 hour in total to create these two dashboards. This is a highlight and a drill down dashboard for my USX manager, and this is my dashboard for one of my data stores, as you can see. Creating these dashboards, so play around with Grafana, spend an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or multiple days, depending how complex your infrastructure is. You can export dashboards as well to a JSON file and import it into other environments. One of the things, the first 10 minutes I was looking for how I can change things, and it is handy to know. And just let me spend 1 or 2 minutes with that particular thing. If I go to, for instance, this one, IOPS, and I click on Edit. So right now I'm editing this dashboard. That's my goal. These are the 4 metrics I already created. And normally when you create a new dashboard, let me create just a new dashboard. Maybe that's even better. Maybe that's not a good idea. Just keep it what it is. That's probably better. So if I create a new dashboard, you will see this is already this is all empty when it's a new dashboard. Normally you click on servers, then you click on you see different UUIDs, and these UUIDs correspond with all types of volume VMs, service VMs, USX managers, containers we provide. In the REST API browser, you will see these UUIDs. I know that 487 is my volume VM, because also in the USX manager you can determine what are the UUIDs of a certain volume, as an example. So if you want to know what the volume is, I go to I will add a column. I think it is this one, top of my head. So you can determine, okay, what is the UUID for a certain volume. So this volume corresponds with the Grafana 487 volume. Then I select, okay, what kind of metrics do I want to see in this dashboard? So I want to create a dashboard for IOPS. Okay, what particular metric do we want to use in this metrics? I want to use a read percentage, and then I added alias by node 3. If I remove this one, you will see the effect of that when I remove it. Then it's like a long string of server, the UUID, and the metrics I collect. That's fine, but I would like to add a more like reasonable name, handy name. That's why I use this. So if you see the recording later, this is interesting and handy to know. And if you know these things, it's easy to duplicate a metric and, for instance, create something, add something else to the dashboard you want to create. So changing these things in edit mode is the trick, and then you create very powerful dashboards in Grafana. And probably if you're using Grafana already, you need to create a data source in the third party, like the external Grafana server. By design, we are running Grafana on USX Manager, but you can of course use an external Grafana server as well. One of my other VMs is a Grafana server that works fine. You need to make sure that the data source, as I mentioned earlier here, let's ignore this one, is not localhost, of course, but is then the external Grafana server. Let's go back to this one. Of course, you can create multiple users, admin users, read-only users, and so on, and multiple dashboards as well. And you can export the dashboards, of course, as I mentioned earlier, to a JSON file and import it somewhere else. So this is really powerful, and this is really the strength of Atlantis as well. Not everything in our console, but also make sure that the content is available to other consoles, like Citrix Director, like Grafana, like other things which is on the roadmap. So that's I think that's important to know. Just two slides. So why Atlantis? Hugo already explained from a little bit from a more tech perspective why Atlantis and why Atlantis in a create your own, build your own hyperconverged platform. Just a couple of things, like freedom of choice is an interesting one. Both appliances and software-defined storage. Optimize and augment and extend your existing storage. Quite often customers already have existing storage which is not due, which is still relevant for the next like 1 to maybe 3 years. But they are running out of capacity, or maybe they're running out of performance. Adding Atlantis makes a ton of sense. And with that you can like roll your own hyperconverged platform. We're the only hyperconverged and software-defined storage platform who supports Citrix End Server 7.1, 7.0, 6.5. Programmable infrastructure already mentioned. Yeah, we are really strong in the workspace industry. That's where the Atlantis company started years ago, and that's where we're really strong. Like 40,000, 60,000, 100,000 concurrent users, but also 100 concurrent users. So from smaller to really large scale is applicable to USX and to hyperscale. If you want to spend some time with USX, there's a community edition, a free trial. You can use the community edition for 1 year. It's the full version of USX. There's no limitation from a technology perspective. The only limitation is from a licensing perspective. It's 1 year license, which is fine, and it's 100 gigabytes, which is more than fine as well. My environment is using that license, and I'm able to run like I think in total like 100 plus Win 10 VMs and a couple of XenApp VMs as well in that environment. And if you're really running out of license, of capacity, even after DDIP and so on, let me know. We'll figure it out. But I'm confident that in your lab environment, as in my lab environment, total have like 8 or 9 hosts in my lab environment. I'm fine with this license. I can do whatever I would like to do with the CE edition. So go to atlantiscomputing.com/CE to get access to the CE edition. The current version is 3.5.1 of CE, and stay tuned probably next week or maybe next 2 weeks for the 3.5.2 version of CE. If you want to really spend time with 3.5.2 today, let me know. Happy to bring you up to speed with 3.5.2 and software. With that, I think we are 10 minutes over time.